first, we're going to kick it off with some Hearts of the Stone.
Hearthstone.
Hearts of Stone.
Hearthstone.
We're going to talk about the Witcher expansion. Hearts of Stone.
Yes.
Do you think it was a joke that they called it Hearts of Stone? Do you think they're trying to go with Hearthstone, or is this tied in? So the Hearts of Stone expansion is out now. You've already played it. You reviewed it for us.
Yeah.
And Ty, I know you're excited to try it out.
Yes.
Why is it called Hearts of Stone?
There's a few. They say that specific phrase a few times, but there's a few characters who I think it's kind of like a character study of Geralt, how he's kind of incapable of loving people, although you can love people in this expansion.
I loved a lot of people.
I thought that was the whole point of The Witcher is loving people.
Yes,
Yeah.
you love people.
And
I loved a whole house of women once.
in The Witcher 3. So
Sorry,
then
Mary.
One of the villains, there's a kind of a couple of villains, and they are both just heartless, I guess that's how it ties in, I would imagine, because one of the people who says that phrase to Geralt ends up being kind of a jerk.
So you get to learn a little bit more about Geralt, and it's a very story-focused expansion. This isn't something that adds a lot of new gameplay elements.
Very few. You do get rune crafting, which is just another way to kind of affect how you use signs. So Axii now, the one that stuns people or turns them against their allies, you can kind of chain it. If you kill them in a certain amount of time, it'll chain to the next person. But yeah, those things are all kind of minuscule compared to the story and everything. Here you'll see, hopefully spoiler-free gameplay right now, but you do a lot of things that kind of cater to what made The Witcher 3's main game so good. It was just each quest had a lot of substance and how they told their stories and these self-contained, little asides that played into the main story, like quests really well. And the characters are awesome. Pretty much everyone you meet Shani. Here's that was Olgierd von Everec. There's Shani right here in the scene, as well as Gaunter O'Dim, who he's one of the people you have no idea the whole time what their motivation is.
He doesn't look evil at all.
He doesn't most of the time until he does this to your face. He marks you because you're kind of his lackey. There's probably a different term I could have used, but yeah. So a lot of times you're carrying out quests for him whether you want to or not.
Does it go into Geralt's history about why he likes redheads so much?
I don't think so. Not that I remember.
In his workout routine?
Yeah,
he talks about his CrossFit training.
Yeah, he does CrossFit. He drinks Pro Complex when he's done working out. 5-star.
So I know Shani is one of the characters that you're most interested in learning and seeing more, Ty.
Yeah, I mean, I've always appreciated The Witcher just because of its story. It's weird because I've now hit that stride where I've been playing so much Metal Gear for so long, for over 60 hours, where I now yearn for a good story. I want an actual good story in a game because the Metal Gear is just complete dog shit. Sorry. But the gameplay's amazing.
Some people might argue with you on that.
They're dumb. They're wrong. That story's horrible. But regardless, The Witcher that's what grabbed me always, was the story. And you can see that throughout the entire game, the actual main game, not just even the DLC, is that they borrow from so much fairy tales, literature, certain tropes, obviously, they're going to touch upon, but it's nothing but they always kind of have their own spin on it, it's always something unique. And their side quests are so good. And they're interesting, and the stories behind them are interesting. And yeah, you can approach all these characters different ways. But one thing that I've always loved about The Witcher and I admired about it is that it does make you care about the people and the characters. The gameplay is good. It's not revolutionary, but obviously it's the story that actually grabs me. And so is this a continuation of his story, or is it before the events of Wild Hunt?
It's kind of just during the Wild Hunt. It's recommended level 30, but you pretty much will just get a prompt to go to this bulletin board in the town, and then you'll meet someone there that's come by Olgierd von Everec's manor, and he'll tell you more, and that kind of sets off a few different quest lines that you go through, with a main one and a few side ones.
Because the game is so story-focused, it's hard to talk about it and I think not spoil things, but you did give the game overall a 9.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, the pacing is excellent. It's also, like Ty had mentioned, it really, The Witcher 3 in general plays on, fantasy tropes and whatnot. This one really pushes that, but each of them is very subversive in the way they tell them. There's The Prince and the Frog, which I guarantee you that fairy tale has never been told the way that CD Projekt Red does it here. There's this character who's very, very terrifying. It looks like something from Pan's Labyrinth.
I like that you cut away from this right before he reveals his face.
It's black. It's gross.
Gone.
Yeah.
Can't see anything.
But like within the first 2
Yeah.
hours, you're fighting 3 different bosses, like mini bosses, and they're all unique in their own way. But you go to a wedding, and it sounds boring. And there were a few, I kind of had a few complaints with these mini games that you're kind of forced into, but they don't last that long, and they're very minor in the grand scheme of things. But it's just very funny. The wedding plays out like a sitcom in a fantasy world. Then you do a heist. It feels like Grand Theft Auto, or Ocean's 11 if it was in Middle Earth or something, or the Northern Kingdoms, I guess, to be more specific. So there's a lot of different things you can do, kind of coalesce in an awesome way.
Yeah, you mentioned in your review that maybe the mini games and the detective sections didn't meld quite as well.
Yeah, the detective sections I always felt like they were forced in the main game. I guess it plays into Geralt, like the Witcher's abilities as a characters, yeah. But these ones were almost, with like one exception, I think there were 8 of them that I went through, and each one was just follow this blood trail to 20 feet away and find this thing that I could have just seen with my eyes as a human without, those cat eyes. There's a character that calls you puss peepers, and I assume that's because you're cat eyes, but maybe it's just a Northern Kingdom slang for something meaner.
And so this is kind of a precursor to more Witcher content that we're going to be getting in early 2016, the Blood and Wine expansion. And that's going to expand the story out even more. This was about 10 hours, I think, and the Blood and Wine expansion is going to continue that by even 20 hours. What kind of additional things do you want to see in the game?
I just like to see more of these quests that fit. Hearts of Stone fit pretty seamlessly into the main game, and I'd like to see that continue, but at the same time, I also would not mind by the time Blood and Wine comes out, you said it was Q1, or no, just first half.
First half, for now it's first half of 2016. It used to be Q1, now maybe a little later. Sometime in 2016 before summer.
So with almost a year removed from The Witcher 3's full release, I would not mind seeing them do kind of either a prequel or a continuation of the main story, because I think during the fall release schedule, this was a good time for someone to say, hey, if you want to pay $10 for a quest that's going to fit into the game, go for it. But later on down the road, we're going to give you something that's going to reward you for having beat the game, or kind of knowing these characters, maybe we'll go back to see what was going on before this. I would not mind that at all, and I think that would work.
And Ty, for someone who does, I think in your job you don't get to play games as often as a lot of us do. But this is something that
enjoy them.
It's really pulled you in. You've played a lot of The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
What is it that keeps you going along? And do you think that just in more story, is that enough to pull you into?
Yeah, I just think it's about taking a break, right? I mean, I think the beautiful thing about this expansion and then the next one is that they're timed far apart enough for me to kind of want to go back into that world and actually see what Geralt's up to now. I mean, and I'd like to see more. I love the politics behind this game. I love that the story of this game is not so much about what is happening with like Ciri's dad and the Emperor and Novigrad. It's more about, or Roach and that whole thing, and Temeria. It's more about what Geralt wants, right? But all these political themes and snowballs are kind of like in place, like about to like explode at some point. And so you have all this stuff kind of going on around you, but it's not really, it doesn't mean much to you as your character. You just kind of observe it. I'd like to see what happens now, like depending on what actions happen at the end of your game. Like for example, I'm gonna spoil everything for something now, so you just turn this off, you don't want to listen to it. But in my game, Ciri takes over as Empress, right? So I would love to see what happens after that. Like how is she as an emperor, or an empress? Like does she rule more fairly than her father? Her father killed a bunch of people at the end of my game and kind of pissed some people off, but she takes over. How does her now political leanings affect the story and then the world around you? And also like there's so many awesome side quests in that game. Like I remember there's this one where you have no idea if what you're doing is like good or bad, but like some lady's like, hey, it's another spoiler. I'm warning you now. Turn this off. He's like, throw this baby in the oven. Just fucking trust me. You're like, okay, and you have like split seconds to react, right? But those stories are so engaging, and they all kind of like come together to like really help something. So and like help progress the story, you and your character. And it's just, it's really, really good storytelling. And so I'd love to see more of that.
Well, last question, if you're still here and you did not turn off even though Ty kept telling you to turn away.
I'm going to spoil shit.
What is the most surprising thing that you can say without spoiling something that you think people are going to be really surprised to have seen in the game, or that was a really kind of shocking or a big moment for you?
There was a brief glimpse of it during the gameplay, but I don't think, if you don't know what's going on, it won't make sense. There's a part where you are not in... Well, obviously the whole game you're not in the real world, but you're not in the game's world anymore. You go to this kind of metaphysical dimension, and it was crazy, but it worked so well. and somehow they made it work. And I think that was my favorite part. It was just this alternate universe that was gorgeous, but also kind of scary as shit. It was you saw that guy about to lift his hood. That part was scary. Just like fighting him and seeing him was bad.
There's a lot of those like weird, creepy moments in this game.
Like that little
really.
What do they call
the botchling?
The botchling.
Yeah.
Oh, the first time I saw that was awful. But that's not in the new one, so.
Yeah, but there's always
fine.
like something new like that and weird.
Yeah.
Oh, I would also love to hear more. The Elven Sage that helps Ciri throughout the entire story. Again, spoiler. You have 5 seconds to turn this off. Turn this off. Okay. Anyway, that Elven Sage apparently, I like to know about his world, where he comes from. He helped kind of like one of the Wild Hunt guys was like a student. It'd be kind of cool to kind of explore that.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool interpersonal ties.
Yeah.
And that was a surprisingly a talk that we kept on track and did not go into inappropriate things, which I thought might have been more
happy,
likely.
Mary?
Hearts of Stone is out now. You should go check it out. And as soon as you get the chance to play it, we'd love to hear what you think. How are you enjoying this extension of The Witcher 3?